What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Straight Facts Show. I am Mr. Straight Facts. Hope you guys are having a good day. We're going to go over some topics today, just a few. The news had some things going on. They released the one guy who spent 109 days in a detention center with no charges, other than the fact that he said that his right to literally speak about our government and what it's doing, the First Amendment right, had him in there just because his First Amendment rights. They didn't want to give it to him, so they wanted him to seem like he was some kind of illegal immigrant because he spoke up against America. And not even America, just an issue in America. His wife was pregnant. He hadn't spent time with who she's had the baby since. And it's just sad that he had to spend 8 or 9 days in a detention center for doing nothing. And then Marco Rubio is going to literally say, that he needs to be put out of the country because we shouldn't have people just talking shit about our country, basically. We can say whatever the fuck we want to say about the country and our government. That's the reason we are America. I mean, it's crazy how these people don't act like they remember their history. The reason why we are America, because we spoke up against the people who were the British that we broke away from. This country, the English broke away from that monarchy crap and came here. They wanted to speak up against it. And that's what this country was built on top of slavery. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is of what the Constitution and what they built, it's all about getting away from that. And here we are, Marco Rubio, a Latin guy who thinks he's white. Just because he got the ears of a old white British dude, don't mean he's old white and British. You're Latin. It shocks me to see. Just like when I see black people speak out against black people just because they're black, not because there's an issue with that black person. When I see that, I get a knot in my stomach. I could almost vomit seeing somebody do that. And to see Marco Rubio see other Latin faces and not attach himself to those Latin people. It's sickening that somehow in society you have determined that white is right, Marco Rubio, and you have left your Latin culture in the trash heap, and you think you're better than them. It's so sad that they have you as a puppet, as a face that is saying these horrific things about immigrants when you are the child of an immigrant. I don't understand why these people do not connect themselves to these people. They act like they're different. They are not. Your family came here the same fucking way, trying to get through the system. Many of these people, their families came here doing it the exact same way, not being legal, crossing the borders. Now we have more guards, more security around the border. These people who are tripping like this, they're like 50 years old, right? And their parents are much older. We didn't have so much guard back then. So their parents, a lot of them, made it here crossing the border hella illegally. They came across in water and boats and all that shit. Shit that they were, and escaping like any kind of guard that was there. Today, they go in there as asylum. So your parents, not all of them, but many of your parents back in the day, whether it be Latin, whether it be Canadian, whether it be European, came here illegally. There were people already here doing work. And you came here illegally for a better world, better life, better opportunities. And instead of you having the heart that if my parents weren't allowed to do it or grandparents weren't allowed to do it, I wouldn't be enjoying this American society. But you don't have no hope, no like love in your heart for people who look like you and whose family members came just like your mom and your grandma, and some of it is you. Some of these people 50 and 60 years old, you're the first generation to live here. And you're the first ones to talk shit about people who look like you or came here the exact same way as you. What the fuck is wrong with people? They're so quick to believe in the bullshit. These people come for a better life. Now, the only cultures that didn't come here that way were the African and the indigenous. That's it. We're the only cultures that came here or was already here through no will of our own. The ones who was already here, it was their land. The ones who came here over the boat, we were forced or either at the very beginning offered to come here not knowing what had happened over here prior to us getting here. It's not like they had TV. It's not like they had a phone back then. There's no way for them to know that the natives were damn near killed for these Europeans, unless these Europeans told them. Could you imagine that pitch to the people to come to the New World? Hey, we need y'all to come to the New World and help populate, help build stuff. Well, what happened to the people who did it? Oh, we killed them off, man. Yeah, they were dirty. It was nasty. Yeah, we just killed them off. So what makes you think you won't kill me off? I ain't saying we will. I ain't saying we won't. Come on in. You think they said that shit? And this damn country would have never been built. They said the most bullshit ass sales marketing crap like Donald Trump. Come on in. We give you land. We treat you right. Then you got people in society getting you to think stupid shit. Like we came over here and they were just like, they told us what was going to happen. And we knew that they were going to be slaves. They did not know this shit. This shit was so egregious. Nobody thought of it but the fucking Europeans. This entire time, it's just been craziness after craziness after craziness. Being upset with immigrants and their immigrants. All of them are immigrants, except for the indigenous and the African. We did not immigrate here on purpose. It's just insane. So, in that process, I don't understand why there's so much hate for a group of people that don't commit the crimes that they're saying that they're committing. Donald Trump got people believing that there was so much crime coming from the millions and millions of immigrants. And in all honesty, they only had to bring up, I think it was 2 Latin people who killed somebody here in America. And they had to pick a white woman that one of them killed. That's the one they used to get this country to get so much into their hate world. They already hate it. He just gave them opportunity to hate even more out in the open. See here, look, Latin dude kills white girl. You can hate Latin people now. And there's a reason for it. Hate all of them for this one man, this one sick man. But don't hate us for killing all the natives. Don't hate us for killing all these black people and hanging them and cutting their schlong off and eating them and throwing the babies. Don't hate us for that. Don't hate us, but hate everybody else. See how sick this country is? They want us to hate Latin people for taking jobs, but don't hate white people for killing us in droves every year. The killing hasn't stopped. Did you guys see The View, where Whoopi Goldberg is trying to tell all these white women, except for, the other lady who's Latin and black, whom was oddly quiet. I didn't see all of the whole clip, but was oddly quiet, while Whoopi Goldberg was literally telling the plight of black people in this country. And they're over here trying to make it seem like Iraq and Iran and Syria and all these other damn countries are just so bad. They can't wear this. They can't wear that. He said, well, not everybody thinks that way, white women. The thing that kills me is that how, even if you are a liberal or you may be a Republican that's coming over to the center a little bit and making some sense, you still can't get these people to understand the plight of black people in this country. They always want to point at other countries. Look at what Iran, Syria, they can't wear this. They can't do that. They do this to gay people. I'm like, do you know that we used to, like Whoopi Goldberg said, in this country, you guys used to tie gay people to the back of trucks and drive the fuck off? Do you not know that? This is what kills me about it. She goes, the Alyssa chick, she goes, but we? What the fuck you mean, but we? What's a but for? What are you butting for? She just said this country tied gay people to the back of trucks and drove the fuck off, and you don't look at that as terror. You don't look at that as the same. It ain't different. It's the same. Pushing some, just ask you a real quick question. I'm going to ask everybody in this room a real good quick question, all right? All right. If you were given the choice, because it had to be one or the other, if you were given the choice that these hateful people, equally hateful of gay people, if you were given the choice to be pushed off a building or tied to a back of a fucking truck and drove down the street, which one would you choose? I don't know about you, but jumping and being pushed off a building, splat, dead, done, job over. You didn't feel shit but the smack. Tied to the back of a vehicle, you are living for fucking miles. You ain't dead until your skin done came the fuck off. And you want to talk about we different? If anything, America's fucking worse. The fuck you talking about? I'd rather be pushed off a building than drugged by a car. And she was trying to justify that shit. But we're different. Yeah, you're absolutely worse, Alyssa. They got their own culture and the things that they do, and women are treated a certain way. It's horrible. But let them tell it. Quit trying to tell their story. Like Whoopi's telling you the black story, let's hear it from a black woman. Hey, Alyssa, shut your white ass up and put an Afghan or a Syrian on your fucking show to tell us how bad it is. Because let's hear it from the mouths of people who are going through it. Let's not hear it through a white woman that's in here trying to tell you what it's been. You don't know what it's like. You ain't had none of the fucking experiences. Not the black experience, not the Latin experience. You ain't had the fucking Afghan experience. You ain't had the Syria experience. You ain't had none of it, bitch. You just read a book or you saw a video of somebody talking about it. Shut your fucking mouth up and listen to the people who went through it. How do you testify for somebody you ain't never been through? Gay people can speak on it. I can't speak for fucking gay people. But you want to sit here and speak for people. Justify, verify, validate like you know what the fuck is going on. Listen to them and they'll tell you. The things I say about gay people or bi people or trans people, it comes from them. I'm regurgitating what they're telling me. I don't know firsthand. So I can't negate or shut a gay trans person up and say, but no buts. I don't know. Tell me. That's the problem with this country. You got too many people who ain't been a part of shit telling everybody else what the fuck they going through. White people ain't never been through fucking racism. Want to sit here and tell everybody else what the fuck it is. How the fuck you know what it is? Tell me what it is. How did you feel when racism hit your front door? When you didn't get the job because they told you was too white? When they didn't interview you because your name was too white? Becky was not good enough. When you went to your job and they told you to cut your fucking hair because it was just too straight. When did that shit happen to you? It didn't. So shut the fuck up and listen. None of that shit happened to you. But yet you want to be the authority. You don't even want to listen. You want to act like you know. You should have shut the fuck up in the presence of Whoopi talking about black shit. how black perspective of this country. That's a conversation where you don't have any expertise. But the reason why you want to input your expertise is why you want to protect the white culture and say it's not as bad, because you're trying, basically what you've done is attach yourself to whiteness, regardless of being good or bad white people. We ain't talking about the good white people. We're talking about the bad ones. And you associate yourself even with the bad ones. That's why you don't want to hear it, because they look like you and you associate what they look like to you. We associate what they do, their actions, to who the fuck they are. That's why we can tell the difference between a good white person and a racist piece of shit white person. But if you conflate the two, then you're having a struggle with yourself. The struggle is, I'm bad at sometimes, I'm good at others, and I get offended when they talk about me because I know I'm a piece of that. I have never got offended when they talked about black criminals, because I'm not one. I don't act like one, and I don't commit any crimes, and I don't hurt anybody. So if you're talking about black criminals, if he or she is a criminal, I ain't got shit to do with them. I don't conflate the two. But if you're conflating good white people and bad white people in your own mind, then there's a struggle between you of good and evil. And in between, somewhere in there, you must think you are a piece of that evil. And therefore you get offended. So Alyssa's got that evil in her. And that's why she's defending it. I will never defend a murderer, no matter what race it is, because I don't have that in my spirit. I'll defend an innocent person until guilty, because I am innocent, and I know in my culture people have charged me with shit not in court, so to speak, but in the court of public opinion. I done walked in the stores with enough money to buy the damn store, and came in and was like, "Hey, you have this, that, and the third," not giving me any, and keep on moving, or following me everywhere I go, convicting me of being a criminal when I ain't never committed a crime. Those types of things happen on the regular. So if you ain't been through that, quit trying to tell people, trying to explain to you what it's like. Because to me, it just sounds like you're trying to hide what the bad people who look like you do, because you don't want to be associated with them. And I'm like, the way you don't be associated with them is you stop fucking defending them. Because if it doesn't attach to you, why the fuck you defending it? I'll never defend a criminal black person. I'll never defend a coon. That's not going to happen. So why are you defending a racist person saying you're not racist? Why are you defending evil in this country and the black experience when you've never experienced it, but say, I'm not trying to negate the black experience, but then shut the fuck up, right? I'm not trying to negate the black experience. That's the end of the sentence. If you don't understand English, when you put a but, you are saying except for, you are saying this right here, but. Don't put a but behind it. The but behind it negates it. Just because you say you're not trying to negate it, when you say but, you negate it. It's just simple. That's English. I like you, but does that sound like you getting to be with that girl or guy that just said they like you? Hey, you're cute, but does that sound like you're about to negate the cuteness? Or are you about to add some more on to the cuteness? No, you're cute, but tells you it's the opposite of what the fuck it is. You're trying to negate the conversation and move on to something else. And that's what she did. Totally did that to Whoopi. And the thing is, it's like it blows right over the head. So much so that Whoopi put her hand in her head, is like, I'm not, and she was being nice. I'll tell you what she really was trying to say. I ain't gonna never be able to explain to these dumbass white people what I'm talking about, because they're getting offended and they're putting up a wall and they're not listening to what the fuck I'm saying. This is my lived experience, and I'm rich. And they're trying to tell me, you don't go through this. This ain't your life. While you're trying to, this is the thing that kills me, as much as racist white people have done in this country, the horrific things, To turn your head around and say, but look at Afghans, but look at this, but look at that, tells me you are so disconnected from reality. We understand our country has come a long way, but don't put yourself in a position that you are of the heightened sense that you're better than somebody else just because your black people in this country have fought for that equality. Ask Alyssa, do you really think you would be where you are today in this country if black people didn't fight and die and give wonderful speeches and decided that we were going to do it peacefully? You think that's the way this country would be? Or do you think we'd be more like Afghanistan, Syria, and all the other places? What do you think we'll be? If black people did not fight and die and show other cultures, not even cultures, but factions, gay, bi, trans, white women, women in general, if we did not, black people, men and women, did not fight and give you the game plan, where the fuck you think this country would be? Because before we started fighting and dying for it, women were getting beat and raped by their husbands on the daily. White women, all of them, beat. If a husband wanted to go have sex with another woman, what did they do in America? And he started falling in love with her. He would come home. He didn't want you to do anything like be a part of his life anymore. He would call up a medical facility and say something's wrong with her. She's crazy. And have you committed. That's what they did in America. Just so he can get another woman and fulfill this still Christian life, he had to get you out of his life by saying you was crazy so I can trade up. Many of women went to facilities for nut jobs and they never did anything wrong but be loyal to their husbands. This is what white men did to white women in the past. Beat you, rape you, treat you like shit, trade you in, send you to crazy homes. That's what they did to you. Do you really think that's better or just the same as these other countries? Women couldn't wear no clothes that showed their body. Same here. Same as over in Afghanistan. That same shit was going on here. In the middle of the summer, they have long ass dresses on. Not only dresses, but girdles and everything else. If you wanted to have relations with a woman, you had to take off about 75, 11 fucking layers before you got to it. And if you were the woman and you cheated on your man, they would stone you to death. Whole party of people getting rocks and shit, having you stand up against a pole and throw boulders at you while your husband's sticking in every woman he could find. That's what this country was like when white men were running it. And that's what it seems like they want to go back to. And why the fuck white women trying to go back there with them? You don't know your history. That's why. You don't know your history. They have hidden it from you. They can't stand you. Any man that wants to go back to the past hates women. Because back then, it was okay to hate you. It was okay to rape you. It was okay to beat you. It was okay to keep you in the house like a fucking animal. All that. It was okay. Some women liked it. Scary enough. Even worse, some women today like it. We'll vote for it. But then I forgot how bad it gets. See, today and age, if you want to stay at home and the husband take care of you or whatever it may be, or vice versa, the wife take care of you, oh, it's wonderful. But the way these assholes want to take it, you ain't gonna have no rights. What did they do? They literally said now they're passing rights that even if your husband beats you and rapes you, you can't divorce him. That's what they're trying to pass. Think about this shit, ladies and gentlemen. I said men's gentlemen. If they're trying to pass laws that if they beat you and rape you, you can't divorce them, where the fuck you think they're trying to take this country back to? Get out of your racist bubble and think it's just going to happen to Latin people. Think it's just going to happen to black people. Think it's going to happen to Chinese people. It's going to happen to you. They're getting the validation from their white women to do this. only to come back and have you be the last they do it to. Wake up. Wake up. They are literally trying to harm all of us. And it ain't even white men. It's these racist white men. Y'all know who they are? Come on now. Let's stop. Let's stop pretending. Let's get out of this mindset of just it's apple pie world. It is not. These racist white men don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. They've been hurt because nobody wants them. They feel like they're being replaced by people who are smarter and faster, good looking, bigger units, all this other shit. They just so hurt. So hurt and aggrieved that they're trying to take it back to medieval fucking times. Because that's the only time they have power. If we aren't being evil to one another, ain't nobody thinking about no fucking Stephen Miller. I mean, look at this bald head, cue ball looking fool. Got the little George and Wheezy. And I'm like, what the fuck you got this George Jefferson haircut for? But he out here thinking that's the reason why. His wife even left and went with Elon Musk. Now, I don't know if they're doing anything together, but the way Elon Musk is, I wouldn't doubt that there'll be another addition to the family because this fool will be getting every woman pregnant that gets in the vicinity of him. I would not doubt in the next year or two, Stephen Miller going to be having a child. It's going to be Elon Musk's kid, not his. And with Stephen Miller, as much as he's hateful, he'll just be happy that he's going to get alimony or some shit. Oh, he's going to give us money. I don't care if she's pregnant by him. This is how this dude is. He's very evil. The shit he's trying to do to people. Claiming what? Trying to save America from what? You? This man is beyond evil. The things that he's talking about doing and the things that he's allowed to do. Can you imagine this country, which we call the greatest country in the world, now has a bunch of ignorant tyrants running it? You're going to ignore it. Me insulting a man's bald head. Hey, I got a bald head. So I don't care. I just keep it real. The way he looked. I keep it real. He does look like a little worm. Looks like a ferret. But regardless, that dude, I can't stand. Because if you can have the heart or absence of a heart to see what's happening to people who didn't break laws, but write it down on paper that that's what you're going to do. Make no mistake. What they're doing to these Latin people was on purpose. This ain't no like, oh, some of them got caught in the crossfire. No, it was on purpose. Listen to them. This is what I tell people. Go back and listen to them in their speeches prior to becoming president. When Biden was president and they was out there giving their speeches at different platforms or different podcasts, listen to what they were saying. Listen to what they were saying. But we're going to listen to, let me see, which one? J.D. Vance. He was in California today. He had something to say, and we're going to talk about it on the back end of it. Let's get it.
We have a public official in Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who over the past few years have actively encouraged illegal migration into this community. I landed, when I saw this city, when I was driving through to come to this FBI building, I
want to stop it for a second. The first one, he's talking about Karen Bass and the governor, Gavin Newsom, and he's saying, you know, that they actively brought in illegal immigrants or whatever. That's so far from the truth. I mean, when you would look at it, and I suggest you do your homework on these things and not just take my word for it. When it comes to immigration, y'all, there is more crap that this country should be focused on than immigration. Immigration is not the issue they make it to be. Immigration is a wedge issue where you can divide people in from their better saints and their evils. To think that immigration is a big issue, you have to have hate in your heart. It is not a big issue at all. This country needs immigrants. If you see how a country's set up, right? A country set up with a poor class, always got to have that poor class. That poor class is always that class coming in at the bottom. It's just like, think of it as you were an employee in a business. You're coming in at the bottom. So you're coming in at the lowest fee. You're not coming in as the CEO. You're coming in at the lowest. Okay? So when you come into this country, who's going to come into this country at the lowest and you already at a country that literally, is almost equal to America? That shit ain't going to happen on the most level. But if you come in here as an immigrant that's poor, you coming in at that bottom level. It's up to you whether you stay at that bottom level or if you hustle and move your way up like everybody else is trying to move their way up. You're going to have that poor class. But having a wealthier class or a richer class holding you down on purpose, that's the part that's fucked up. And that's for any of us, American citizen even. You got billionaires always keeping you down to level. How many of you guys, American citizens, went through a job and let's say you retired? How many times did you from the time you started your job, let's say you stayed the same job for 30 years like they told us back in the day. From that time to the time you retired, how many raises did you get? Not many. Well, your boss got one like every fucking quarter. Your other bosses, supervisors and shit like that got one like every year or two. But big ones, or they got bonuses out the yin yang at the end of the year. They got like $5,000, $10,000 bonus. You got nothing but a Christmas party. And when you look at that structure, you're always got that lower level. Immigration is that lower level where people are coming in, working at farms that you and I ain't no way in hell we work at. It's a good job. Don't get me wrong. It's a legal job, honest living. But an average American citizen that was born here, quit lying to yourself. Not unless you are a farm lover, which there are many. But you ain't pulling nobody from the inner city to go pick any item all day at a feverishly fast pace for 8, 10, 12-hour days. And since I was not legal, they can work your ass $15 an hour. $15 hours a day. Get that straight. Paying you like $8 an hour. Under minimum wage or whatever it may be in certain states. And you got to use that to pay your rent, which it won't pay the rent. That means 6 to 8, 10 to 12 of y'all got to put your money together to get a small apartment and sleep on top of one another. What American was born here gonna do that shit? Our family has already paved that path. That's why we are where we are now. Because our ancestors paved that path for those who are immigrants. For black people, we paved the shit out of that path. But regardless, every culture has paved that path. Your immigrant families have paved that path. You're sitting there looking at these people, and those people are literally your grandma, your great-grandma, your mom, or you many, many, many years ago. So why do you look down on people who got here just like your family got here? Because hate is in your heart. Hate is in your soul. And you decide to use hate instead of love. If you love, think about it. You're literally saying you hate your grandma. You hate your great-grandma. You hate yourself because you went through this same process. You have many people say, I don't mind immigration as long as they do it legal. Many of these people are doing it legal and they're cutting them out from under them. Many of them are showing up in court because their next phase in becoming an American citizen, they're due to come. What did we tell them to do when they first came here for asylum? The legal way. We got you in the country. We don't want to send you back to be killed. Here's the thing. We got to make sure that you are eligible for asylum. And you got to, then you go and stay in this whatever city, sanctuary city, until we figure that out. You have to make your court appearances or we kicking your ass back out. They don't want to die and go back to the country that was trying to kill them to begin with. So faithfully, they show up their courthouse every time they're told to be there. They're there. They're following the law. And many of these people now, they still have to go through that process because our process is slow as fuck, America. Call a spade a spade. They came, a lot of these men and women are coming to court as they're asked to do. And what happens? We got our government now with Trump and their little evil ass are telling these judges to dismiss these cases. And these judges are dismissing them without telling the actual immigrant who's coming there. As soon as they come up there, it's to snatch them as they're abiding by said law. Attending the court case on time as requested to do it legally. So if you're saying doing it legally, and these people are doing it legally, you're literally saying these racist people, they just don't want them in the country. Remember, Donald Trump got all these people to hate and say, we want them out of the country, meaning the criminals. But the hateful people knew what the fuck he really meant. And what's so crazy about it, not too many voices are coming up as they see that these legal immigrants, the legal ones going through the process, are being snatched up, thrown to the ground, taken away, and expedited to be kicked out of the country. And they've been following the process. It's not their fault that this process, for some of them, has been taking 20 years. It ain't their fault that the government says, yes, do this, don't do this. Another regime comes in. Oh, we're going to pass this along on to the next president. It ain't their fault. They've done everything right, and they're getting treated like this. So we're going to listen first beforehand, finish up of J.D. Vance talking about, the rest of what he was saying about this.
I can think about is what a great American city Los Angeles is, and what a great tragedy it is that we have allowed illegal immigration and rioting to destroy, I think, one of the great gems of the American family. We have
let's stop this. Okay. So he just said that the United States, when I say California, as he was driving through, something made him think about how great America is, how great California is, great American city. During their campaign, they've been talking about California and blue states like they're trash. When did we become a great American state all of a sudden? You guys were calling us trash throughout this whole 4 years. Gavin Newsom, you guys have been talking shit this entire time. But he comes here to gaslight Americans and say, hey, I came through the streets and this and that and the third. And then all of a sudden, it's such a great city and they're destroying it. And you're like, the fuck are you talking about? I want you guys to pay attention to something. There's a pattern with these groups of people. There's a pattern. And that pattern is whenever they talk about arriving into a city, they always say, as I'm going through the city, I see this, I see that. California is vast, right? You've been, some of you, I'm sure. From the airport to where he had to go, he didn't see nobody. Every time, because there's nobody out protesting, really. But every time Donald Trump or any of these grotesque Republican MAGAs come to California, they always have a story of what they saw on the way here. On the way here, I saw just, people who were just shooting up drugs and doing this, that. Man, you don't see that shit. Did you go through like downtown and Skid Row or some shit? Where'd you go? But on a regular street, you telling me you saw that? Yeah, I don't lived here since 1993. I've only seen stuff like that downtown, right? And Skid Row, which is also near downtown. It's not on regular streets. You have homeless people here, yes, but they ain't shooting up in front of you like this man said he drove by and saw it. It pisses you off at how much and how easy it is for these people to lie consistently, make up bullshit. Just make it up out of whole cloth. He saw nothing. So when you take the fact that this man saw nothing, he just gave a speech about absolutely made up shit. What he saw on the way here, you didn't see anything, so that conversation is gone. He continues that conversation for a minute or two. You made that up, so what did you see? What else happened? He had nothing else to say worth a damn. So you mean tell me you made a trip from Washington, D.C. to California to give a speech, not visit anybody, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, any leaders here. You didn't speak to any leaders to see what's going on the ground for real. You didn't speak to the people who were taking over everything and have them give us a speech, right? You didn't do all that shit. You came here to promote bullshit and more division, say outright lies, then disappear. How is that leadership? How is that leadership? It's not. It's deception. It's lies. More of it. Never mind the fact that he didn't even give you a status update of what's going on. All these cops here, all these military people here, National Guard. What's the update? No status updates. Just more propaganda. It's insane. And for Americans to buy it, it's even more insane. We're going to listen to what many, and I don't know who framed this term. I saw one article today that a right-winger said something to this effect, but they didn't leave a name. And then I also heard like on a news station, a clip where they attributed it to Donald Trump. I don't know who said it, but there's a phrase that's being put out there in society right now, and it's called the woke right. And people have attributed the next two videos I'm going to show you to that. The first one's going to be of Joe Rogan.
If the Trump administration, if they're running and they said, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just like tackle people at constructions. I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. They said, we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing like.
Before we get to that, let's listen to this again. This is very important to listen to because I'm a person that listens to everybody's words. And I know people can, flub their words and mess it up, but listen to the words and we're going to get into the exact understanding of what he just said. Because if you listen to what he said, he negates his statement while he's saying a statement, a positive statement. He negates it by saying it. Watch, you listen to this.
And we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot. We're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just like tackle people at constructions. I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. They said, we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first.
Stop. He said going to Home Depot and just taking up just regular Latin people, stuff like that. I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. Okay? That's what he just said. Basically, he's speaking for himself. Can't speak for anybody else. So he wouldn't have signed up for it if he was talking about taking the immigrants just off the street at the Home Depot. I wouldn't have signed up for that. But then he goes on to say they were talking about getting the illegal immigrants. That's where he should have stopped. But he didn't. He says they were talking about getting the illegal immigrants first. See, English matters. Because in order for you to say they were talking about the legal immigrants first, you knew they were still coming after the Home Depot people. You just didn't know they were going to come after them altogether. So he negates his own statement by saying that first. Because you said they were going to go after them, the bad ones, first. They should only have to go with the bad ones, period. Why are you going after the other ones as well when you know they keep up our society and they commit less crimes? Again, why hate on the immigrant? Because the immigrant, if you were going to get the top 10 things in this country that this country needs to focus on, the top 10, and let's just say immigration had to be in the top 10. Immigration would be number 10. So why are we making the 10th thing on the on our chart that America needs to deal with the number one? Because the 10th one is the most racially charged one. It's where you have to build up hate and disgust for certain people. And that's that anger, that hate, that's what drives it. So in order for us to be having conversation with immigration, it's about how much we hate others. We've otherized. Because trust me, the other 9 things that this country needs to be focused on is way more important. I mean like light years difference. One is the political corruption in this country. The erosion of what's happening now, the democracy. All this division for what? We all want our kids to have a good education. You know what I mean? We want to be able to feed our families. We want our economy to thrive. If you want to start a business, you want to buy a house, and you haven't bought one before, and you're 50 years old, still want to buy a house, you've been renting your whole life, you still want that to happen. You want your kids to have a better life. Those things, as far as like getting democracy back into shape so that those things can thrive. Because under a dictatorship, they die. So the first thing we need to be focusing on is the democracy, right? And the political corruption. All this division is done for a reason. Think about it. Before Donald Trump, were you even thinking of this shit? 2014, 15, were you thinking about immigrants this way? A person said earlier today, I saw a guy, I don't know what nationality she was. She had a question. She said, ask yourself personally. Forget what you hear on the news. Forget what you hear from anybody else. Ask yourself personally. How has immigration affected your life? How has these people coming from other countries affected your life personally? The majority of people will say they don't. If anything, they are a net benefit than a deficit. Why? Because the fruit you get is picked by them, is cheaper, therefore your fruit is cheap. Even though you say, oh man, the oranges are like 99 cents now. It used to be 69 cents. That's gouging. But these people working on these farms and so forth, getting paid piddlywinks. If you, or let's say your 15 or 18-year-old child was working on that and getting paid what these people are getting paid or somewhere around that, the American people will be like, you ain't working my child like that. You have to raise that up. You have to unionize it or something. Then oranges would be like $2.50 an orange. It benefits you that this immigrant class is here. So if you look at it a different way, then you start to say, all of us are immigrants and we're mad at immigrants? Doesn't make sense, does it? No, it doesn't. You notice how they talk about the brown immigrants, right? Black, Asian, Latin immigrants, because you hate them more. How many of you guys will look at a white person, like somebody from Canada, from France, from Sweden, Switzerland, Denmark? How many of you literally would be like, okay, if they were throwing them down to the ground like these people, these brown people? this country would get in an uproar. Because then you'd be like, wait a minute, I'm Dutch. You know, my mom's Dutch. I'm white. They could just grab me. Then this country would change when they start seeing mostly white people getting snatched up and thrown to the ground. Don't lie to yourself. It would be true. It would be true. Slamming somebody to the ground. If you saw most of these people being slammed to the ground like this were white men and women, Donald Trump wouldn't be president for no longer than the next 24 hours. Some crazy ass white person would take him out. But because it's somebody black and brown, it's not me. Let me keep my life going. You got people like us who are fighting, but I'm talking about you got the ones in power that are ginning this all up. Trust me. If there wasn't this type of hate for people in this country, what Donald Trump is doing wouldn't work. It would never take hold. It's only taken hold because we're seeing the mirror put up to America. And America is hella racist. Now, what culture has been saying America's been racist as fuck forever? Even during this last campaign, we were saying America's racist. And even Kamala Harris came out and said, it's not a racist country. Do you think it's a racist country now, Kamala? I love Kamala now. I voted for her. But I'm Mr. Honest, right? I tell you the fucking truth. When she said it, it got sick to my stomach. I know you want to be president, but don't lie. Don't lie, please. Stop the lying. This country's racist as fuck. And we're seeing it right now. And we still don't want to call a spade a spade. That's racism. That's xenophobia. Right? That's hating on people who are other. They're otherizing everybody. And normalizing white people harming every culture but their own. They know that some of their people are going to get hit, but you see the majority of people are brown and black, and therefore these racist white people, these in-between white people, these people of other cultures that don't even like their own culture, whether it be black, Latin, Asian, they're just sitting back and letting it happen. But we had marches, don't get me wrong, 4 to 6 million. They went out there and did their thing. It was huge. And all throughout the United States and even throughout the world, people in other countries, Africa and other places, they marched on that day too. Let's keep that going. But this country's racist. And we're seeing it every day now. And the fact that this country isn't on fire because of it tells you there are so many of us Americans who allow it, who validate it, who turn around and ignore what's happening, and those who would not call a spade, just like Alyssa on The View, just like the other lady on The View. I forgot her name, the one that sits right next to Whoopi on The View. She's talking about Iran and Iraq, and it's like you guys are negating the fact that this right here is that white on everybody else on other crime. It has shit to do with what's going on in these other countries, with what she was talking about. Look at yourself first. Fix yourself first instead of pointing at somebody else and saying, you're sick. But you're sick too, they're telling us. And we're like, well, you're sicker. That's childish shit. Fix your own illness, America. Quit looking at everybody else and trying to say your illness isn't just as bad as theirs. An illness that's killing people is an illness that's killing people. There's not one that's better than the other. Justifying it, nullifying it, and trying to make yourself act like you're better when you're the same or even worse. Two, wealth and inequality, economic justice. That should be 2 on our list, not immigration. Those people are getting paid what? Barely nothing. And they're working harder than most Americans will ever work that damn hard in that type of way. Hands on things, unless you're building and you're a construction worker and stuff like that. And you're a farmer that loves farming. But for the most part, Americans get a job. They're in air conditioning. And I mean, they're doing, they either got their own car, driving. I mean, there are so many other ways. When you legally if you gotten to the point where you need to work on a farm, like you worried about that, ladies and gentlemen, working on that farm, getting paid barely shit, that's something they have to do because they don't have the actual papers to be in this country the way we do. But you could literally, Americans could literally go outside, jump in your ride, open up an app, and drive your way to paying your rent and have excess. I take Ubers a lot, okay? I don't like driving for shit. I'll take an Uber. I ain't going nowhere. I'll just take an Uber. I have spoken to so many Uber drivers over the years. You know how much money each one of them people is making? It depends on their own time frame. They can spend more time with their families now. They love driving, so it ain't like it's even work. They're their own quote unquote boss to some degree. Clock in when they want, clock out when they don't want to. Pick up their kids, go to their kids' plays, and don't have to worry about it. As soon as they get finished with the play, they can turn on the machine, put the kids home, put the bed, turn on the machine, and work at night, going back and forth to the airport, making a grip. And you really want us to believe that you think people working at a farm that has to work during daylight, not at night, they have, 16 hours of daylight in which they work, or whatever it may be, 16, whatever many hours there is in a day of daylight. They got to work that. Sweat, wearing all this shit because they don't want the sun to kill them, but it's hot as hell. They sweating bullets with big ass hats and flannel and all this shit on, 175 degrees. And they cover from head to toe so they won't get diseases from the sun. But hot as hell. You think Americans would be doing that? It's nonsense, man. Straight nonsense. And for this man to literally say that he didn't know that they was going to do that, they said they were going to first go get the criminals. How about you do your homework, Joe Rogan? How many criminals do you think were in this country? Millions and millions and millions. You know why they're getting regular folk? Because they have to give you the vision that they're actually picking up people that they consider criminals. And the reason why you're not having access to them, they're doing it without any due process, is because these people aren't criminals. They're giving you the perception that they're criminals. Let's go out and snatch some people that have the criminal stereotype. You know, criminals have tattoos, some on their arms, some on their neck. Criminals are in gangs. Criminals, are aggressive. They talk back. Just find me any Latin people that fit that narrative. If they talk back to you, if they got a tattoo or two, snatch them. We want to be able to give that vision that we're snatching criminals. Why do you think that they had the, what is her name? Not Tulsi Gabbard, but the other one, dress up in cosplay and went all the way to the other country to see all these people behind her that were in this facility in El Salvador. It was all visuals. As a content creator, he is just content creating. It's not real. They're giving you a perception like a fucking reality show that's scripted. But they want you to think it's reality. They are scripting this. They're telling her, put on the gear. Why would this woman, who is an official, be there with a gun and all this garb on like she's a fucking military person when she should just be in a suit and be in the executive? She's cosplaying. What time in history have our leaders cosplayed? She ain't a military person. Why you dressed like that? It's cosplay. When she got in front of all these people in El Salvador, they weren't even the ones that they snatched. Those were the actual gang members in El Salvador. She wasn't even in front of the people because why? They don't look like criminals. Everybody behind them had crazy tattoos. I mean, like, I ain't talking about like crazy. A lot. You could see them from a distance. They were way back in the back. You could see all their tattoos more than you saw their skin. That's the reason why they were shot in the background, to give you that perception. It is all marketing and promotion. None of this shit is real. The only thing that's real is their pain. Getting America to hate is easy. It's scary, right? All you got to do is put out a bunch of fucking videos and you can get regular people whom you think are just regular ass people to believe in the bullshit. These people are trying their damnedest to paint people in a way that they're not. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate you said. I think they are trying to make it so that the immigrants who come in the U.S. have an H-1B foreign visa so they can control them like slaves. You know what, Monica? I'm 100% behind you on that. Like I said a while back ago when they were running, I told Latin people, and you can go back and look at my videos. I don't know which one it is, but I told black people, I said, look here. I might have been on TikTok. I said, look here, Latin people, you need to vote for Kamala. I'm telling you straight out. You guys may think they're coming after us, but they're coming after you. And I gave them points as to why I believed it, and it's all coming true. It's all been coming true. I said, the reason why I believe they're coming after you, Latin people, because they were like, no. It was all, we're just going back and forth with bullshit. I said, dude, you guys think they're coming after us. They've been coming after us for the longest fucking time. What's the difference? They're going to take us and kick us out of the country. They don't even know what country we came from. They're just going to throw us in any country. And I didn't know they would do that, but they are throwing people in just any country. So I was wrong about that one. They can throw people anywhere. But what I was right about was saying, Latin people, you think if you hate black people, if you think it's going to go back to black people being the slaves, you got a different thing coming. There ain't a black person I know that ain't going to fight to the death before that happens. We ain't never going back. But here's the thing. Because we fight like that and we'll die like that because we've been proven that we'll do it, you're the ones that capitulate to whiteness. Those people want you. Why? Because they're doing the numbers, bro. Pay attention. Why are they taking these studies every year? They're spending millions of dollars to find out when white people are going to be the minority in this country. Every year they get that assessment. It is like a record that they do like every year or so. Not the census is done like every 10. Every year they're doing studies as to when, these think tanks, when white people will become the minority. And each year it goes closer and closer and closer. And when they got to the point right before Donald Trump was trying to run for president, that it would be like 2050 or something like that, 2052, 2054, that by that time, white people would be the minority in this country. Who did they say was going to be in these tests going to be the majority? It said, and not all of them, there's many of them being done, but the majority of them said Latin people are going to be the majority. So when you think like a racist and a colonizer, put that cap on, who the fuck you think they're going to come after first? Black people who are 13, 14%, or Latin people who are growing, and they've surpassed black people in this country, or even very close to surpassing us. They're growing at a faster rate based on their studies. So they're afraid of the numbers game and who's growing the fastest on their charts, Latin folk. So I said, beware. I don't trust racist white people. They tell you what you want to hear and then implement what they've always wanted to do. And when you see the trend, you realize they're coming after you. I told them this over and over again. You're the new slave. You're the new slave, Latin people. You may not think it's reality, but it is. You think black people became the slaves because they just chose us to be like, oh, we were just like inferior or whatever? No. They chose the Irish first, not the African. The Irish are supposed to be the slaves first. But see, the Irish are the ones who got away first and went to other countries. And those countries believed them and said the new world, what these people said when they got away, the new world is trying to enslave people, trying to do all this crazy stuff to people. Don't go, don't go. Well, how do you think they were populating the new world? They were going out there marketing to everybody saying, hey, Come to the New World, you'll get land, you'll get this. They were going to people who were enslaved, which many Irish were enslaved in the Caribbean islands. That's how they got some of them to come here, to leave enslavement to come here. Other countries had people who were enslaved or were the lower class, or in Africa's case, were prisoners of war. And they were traveling all over the world to just get these people. But when word came out, because these Irish who had gotten away, that the New World, that's what America is now, but it used to be, the New World was not doing what it said it was doing, they didn't come. They stopped populating this country, which the Europeans were like, oh shit. And that's why they needed to make a class in this country already, a permanent class, to continue building it. And the African was not the first choice. The Irish, the indigenous, then us. Make no mistake about it. The Europeans said that the African was the most civilized culture that they brought to this country, because they're the ones who taught a lot of these people how to do what they were doing, which is crazy how they say that slavery, you taught us shit. It's like, it's crazy how they don't know history. It was the African who taught the Europeans shit. They benefited from us. We didn't benefit from them. It's just the most idiotic thing. But people are willing to hear it because nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to admit their ancestors were shit. But when the facts bear out, many of them were. It is what it is. So that's the reason why, like when he's talking about this, it was a situation where you knew, Joe Rogan, this was going to happen. You said it in your statement. You just didn't know how it was going to feel when it happened. And now there's remorse.
Right. And now we're seeing like Home Depots get raided. That's crazy.
That's crazy. It is crazy, Joe Rogan. It's crazy that you didn't see that that's what they were going to do. Did you really think there were millions of criminals from Mexico here? You could have just looked up the stats from ICE, from the FBI, and looked at immigrants in this country. How many have been caught in the past 4 years, the past decade? And you know what's so crazy about all that? Is if it's such a big fear and such a big problem for this country, guess what? These organizations don't even record it like that. ICE, FBI, the crimes that these immigrants commit, they don't even record them like they record American citizens. And I think it's on purpose so they can have this fight. It's a wedge issue. It's a controlling issue. Because if you really wanted immigration off the table, they could have easily created a solution to immigration. But if you solve immigration, it's off the table, then what do you get to run for? They always run for the same issues. Immigration is like number one. When immigration, if you had a top 10 list, it wouldn't even make the list of top 10. But if you wanted to include immigration in the top 10 list of what America should be focused on, it would be the very last thing. We're just going to knock out like the rest of them. Like I said, number one, political corruption, erosion of democracy. 2, wealth inequality and economic justice. 3, healthcare, access and the cost of it. 4, climate change and environmental collapse. Those things. 5, gun violence and domestic terrorism, which a lot of racist white people are domestic terrorists. They just don't say that for some reason, but I don't know why the man who unalived was on a mission to unalive 70 or 45 or one, but they found more since then. But let's just say verified, 45 Democratic politicians tried to kill, with the 4 homes, no matter how many people would have been in that home, at minimum would have been 8. Tried to kill 8 people that are Democrats and their loved ones. And you don't call that domestic terrorism off the bat? When there was a Serbian or whatever that dude, it was a foreign guy, I think it was Muslim, that the Boston Marathon, a bomb, boom, kill people, blah, blah, blah. Instant terrorist. It wasn't like, oh, he's a possible terrorist. No. The day of the crime, it was called terrorism, domestic terrorism. Once they realized the person was of Muslim of other descent, it was automatically domestic terrorism. But this shit, they won't even entertain the word domestic terrorism. Had this person been Muslim, it would have been domestic terrorism the day. If they'd been black, domestic terrorism the day it happened. This man dressed up in a plastic mask or silicone mask to unalive people. Hella planning. Those masks cost hundreds of dollars for the most part if they're really good. And he spent hundreds of dollars to buy a mask. He thought this shit through. If that's not domestic terrorism, what the fuck is it? They were trying to influence the government so that these people wouldn't vote for abortion anymore or whatever the hell the issue was on his particular end. They seemed like it was more like the abortion issue, but still. That's 5. 6, mental health crisis. We need to focus on that. 7th, education inequality and systemic underfunding. Another one we need to work on. 8, corporate control, monopoly power. Definitely need to work on that. The billionaires need to go, in the sense of the ones who are focused on fucking everybody over to make their billions. They need to go. In the sense of those who have billions and they're doing right by people, but just enjoying their money too, we ain't talking about you. But if you put money behind, building prisons and building all these things to harm people, yeah, you need to go. 9, infrastructure decay. We've been working on that, but that's something we need to focus on. Still having water issues in this country is ridiculous in parts of the state, different states. Having too much lead in one area and other water not being able to be drinkable, just insane. And then at the very end, you will get immigration. And it's not about immigrants coming to this country itself. That's not it. It's more about the chaos and the politicization of surrounding immigration that needs to be fixed. Because the immigrants coming in are not committing these crimes and they're not taking your jobs. But it's too easy to get people to hate, and it's hard to get them to fucking think. Donald Trump is easy, is his job, his greatness is, in his situation, you want to say greatness, he's able to tell people just simple shit and lie about it. But it's simple enough for you to actually believe it. The house is on fire. You believe it, even though you don't see the fire. This is going on. You believe it. But if you get into a philosophical thought process where they have to think, what if they tuned out? And that's the thing. That's what the Democratic Party is all about. We talk very in depth. We have a level of of intellect. It's not a situation of being a genius, but a level of intellect to think, to use our brains. They go with emotions. How do I feel today? Oh, I feel like it's raining. It's not raining outside, but I feel like it. I'm kind of gloomy, so it's raining. I'm like, no, it's not. It's sunny outside. They don't care. It's raining to them. We look outside. There's rain. There's sun. It is what we see. It's what they feel. All the while, they project and tell you, you're talking about your feelings. And I'm like, nah, I'm talking about what I see. Because what I see is factual. So they try to negate your reality by saying your reality is filled with feelings and their reality is filled with facts. And the fact is, it's the complete opposite. That's why we look at them like they're sick, they're crazy. Like, are you all right? Are you off your meds? That's why we have this huge disconnect. because they don't want to deal with reality. They want to make up their own, where it makes them the hero of the story. So the last thing I want to like discuss is I've been trying to talk about this for a couple days now, and I'm almost done here. Bear with me. A part of this ideology of or this new term, the woke right, they've placed Joe Rogan in it, and they've also placed Tucker Carlson in it. Now, you guys have seen this of Tucker Carlson, and we're going to go over it just a little bit, and this is going to be the last thing I kind of like talk about. I'll save until Monday. I really wanted to go over like immigration, like in depth, like the idea, and this is what we're going to talk about more, I guess, on Monday, is that immigration, if we're going to actually deal with the issue and try to make it not so much a wedge issue, we want to deal with the reality of immigration, then we need to find out like what is it that we have a problem with immigration, because immigrants is not the problem, because again, a lot of us in this country are immigrants, and you hear the terms, they have to be legal, follow the way I follow instead of trying to jump in front, and I ain't got no problem with that, but the system is so backed up that we got millions still waiting the legal route. So whose fault is it that the legal route isn't prepared for the numbers of people that are coming over? That would be our country's fault, that either we have to stop something until we catch up, or push something somewhere until we can catch up, or hire enough people to catch up. But to have an issue last for 50, 60, 70 years, it says you're not trying to fix it. You're using it to gain power. Think about it for a second, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about more about what we can do with immigration, but I want to go over what we're doing right now. But think about it for a second. If you have an illness and you're trying to figure out, like, first of all, we don't been there. I didn't have problems before. And they say like an illness for me, I had bad back at one point. And you know, it's not like it's great now, but the reality is it's 100% better than it used to be. In my 30s, I hurt my back. My back was messed up for like, I don't know, for almost a year. And I had to determine like what the fuck was wrong with me. You know what I mean? The doctor said they couldn't find nothing, and I was just getting worse and worse and worse. And then finally, I go to a specialist, and I did the homework myself. I'm researching. I'm like, man, I think it's my L5S1. I might need back surgery, whatever. My doctor was like, no, we're going to stretch you out and all this shit. And now we're going to give you this, cortisone in my back. And I'm like, did it 3 times. By the 3rd time, it was hell. All this to say is that when I was sick and I was hurting, I was going through the processes to try and fix it. To the point where I found out I can get a microdiscectomy, and boom, outpatient deal. And I can get back to walking and running in no time. Matter of fact, outpatient, as soon as I was done and wasn't so woozy from the medication, they got me up out of my bed, walked me up the stairs, down the stairs, and I'm like, shit, I don't feel no pain, even though I was on medication. And I mean, literally, I was back home that day. I solved the problem, even though it took some time for me to get back to start running again. And that was more of a trust issue of myself. But I solved the problem. This is akin, this immigration, to me literally finding out I had a back problem, finding out what it is, and just saying, I'd rather have the back problem and just have it for the rest of my life. I had to figure it out. And there's a reason why these politicians haven't figured out a way to solve immigration. There is no problem that is so hard that we can't solve it. If we've gone from, building fire with sticks and living in caves to being able to have drones fly, and not only just fly, but set off bombs in other countries manned by a human many miles away, you can't tell me you can't figure out immigration. It makes no sense. You don't want to solve it, America. Face it. If you did, then what the fuck would you divide the country for to gain power? You don't have anything else. That's the major wedge issue that you can get Americans to hate each other, to pit them against each other, to gain power. So they're never going to fix immigration if Americans aren't trying to solve it. We got bigger issues, ladies and gentlemen, way bigger issues. And we're wasting our time on trying to argue with Republicans or Democrats about this situation. There are solutions to it. There is a way to reform it. But like I said, it doesn't bode well with voters to think. It only works to get them emotionally hyped. And the only way you hype somebody in immigration is to push hate. Because pushing love is not going to help that situation. You don't get anybody motivated, especially those who don't read or think worth a damn. They're not going to say, hate. Easy to get that pushed. Easy to market that. It's hard to push love and respect. Because other people don't feel like they deserve it or don't have it. And it's too hard for them to give something that they don't think they get themselves. So they continue down this path of pushing hate and division because it works. The moment it stops working is the moment we start to move forward, to progress. All right, this last video, it's a few minutes, and it's about Ted Cruz, and you guys have seen it, but I've seen it too, but I've seen that small clip of it. I wanted to see I watched the whole thing, but I wanted to see that whole transaction. And we're going to discuss that here in a second. Let's get it.
Nations in war have refrained from killing heads of state. I have not publicly called for killing the Ayatollah. What I've called for is doing whatever is necessary to stop him from getting nuclear weapons. In the first Trump term, what that meant was maximum pressure. So in the first Trump term, I spent a lot of time urging the president to withdraw from the disastrous Iranian nuclear deal that Obama had. President Trump agreed with me. He did that. And then I urged him to end the oil waivers and to sanction the hell out of the country. And it ended up crippling their economy. So Iran at the time was selling 2 million barrels of oil a day. 1 million barrels of oil a day. When President Trump ended the oil waivers, it cut their sales to 300,000 barrels a day. At the end of the Trump term, the Iranian economy was in shambles. They had massive inflation. I think the regime was teetering. I think it might have fallen. I would use economic sanctions and I would use moral suasion to try to effectuate the regime change.
Okay, so you topple the regime and by whatever means, what happens then? How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's, it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
All right, let's stop for a second. See, that's why I didn't like the way they did it in the news media. They didn't cover the most important parts of what he was saying. I know it was the most gotcha moments they loved. But right here, again, I don't like agreeing. I saw Azure. I don't like agreeing with Tucker Carlson either. Ugh, it's just sickening. But I agree with facts. Facts are facts. So the reality is this. When he says, meaning Tucker, he's saying to him, what is the population of Iran? And he's like, I don't know. Okay, that's one. He says 92 million. Then he goes, Well, what's the makeup of Iran? He didn't know that either. He said it's part Persian and certain other things. And I don't know what this actually means. That right there is a huge flag. That's a red flag right there, big time. Why? Think about it. You're asking to topple a government, right? And you don't know how many millions live there. So you don't know how much of a fight there will be for Americans to get into, or whomever is going to go into this battle. But let's just say, for our sake, we're talking about Americans. So this might be a huge battle if you're telling another country to invade, or Israel to invade Iran in some way, shape, or form, or at least have a war with them. Then American people are going to have to fight too, with 92 million people being, in the population. So in that case, how many American casualties are there going to be to fight a government, or at least get into a certain government to try and overturn it by getting the people to want to rise up and get rid of their leader? So what do we got to invest? What do we got to do? When it's that large, it's going to be hard, right? So then you got to look at the other factor. He says, now what is the makeup of the people in that country? Because like they say in this country, there's two things that we're doing that forces us to be. One is that we have to find something to hate, right? If you don't know the makeup of the country, right, then that tells you out of the 92 million, if America decides to back the minority of people in that country, it's going to be a harder battle, because you can't overthrow a country when there's not easily. When there's, say, the split may be, if there's only two cultures there to keep it easy, the split, the Persian and then this other culture, the Persian culture may be 27 million or 20 million. The rest may be 70 million. If you don't know the makeup, you're toppling something, but you have nothing to replace it with. Because if you're replacing it with the 20 million, as soon as you bounce, the 70 million going to kill off the 20. So if you don't know the makeup of something, it means you don't know nothing about the country. And like I said, I am tripping off the fact that I am listening to Tucker Carlson, and then you got Grandpa from the Munsters, Ted Cruz, literally saying some crazy shit. Let's topple a government, but I don't know nothing about this government. And then he gets into this little warring debate with him like, oh, I never said I didn't know about the country. You just did. You just said that you had no idea of the makeup of this country. Therefore, you can't fight a country without knowing what the makeup is. Because then the country may end up being worse than it is right now, which America has done many a times before. We went in and helped a certain group, and that group ends up turning on us. You ever heard of Osama bin Laden? Yes. 9/11? Yes. We trained that man. We were on his side when he was fighting a country that was nearby him. We taught him. We gave him the weaponry. It wasn't until America took stake in his country and ended up having his parents, he was the next in line to be the leader in that country. They exiled him to another country and accepted America. All the hate and vitriol this man had for America. He didn't know not one of us from Adam, but he knew our leaders who were so focused on money and power that they forced this man out of his own country, out of his own wealth and power, and didn't think he was going to retaliate. That's crazy. Of course he was, and he did. Any logical brained person would have known that would have happened. They did not care. Our leaders chose to do this. After they trained this man to be a killer, they stabbed him in the back. And here you're talking about doing the same thing, in which this is what Ted Cruz is talking about, is that You don't know these people to have any nuclear weapon whatsoever. Our own intelligence is saying they don't have it. I know y'all don't like Tulsi Gabbard. I don't like none of these nomads. But she's getting this information from our intel. She's not doing the work herself. She's just spitting what they're putting down on paper. And hopefully they know what the hell they're talking about. Hopefully they haven't replaced them and just put them with their own sycophants. But I believe these are the ones who really know what the hell they're talking about. They didn't fire them. The figureheads are the ones that are the dipshits, right? And Donald Trump is telling them they don't know what they're talking about. Also, you do, Mr. Poopy Pants? You can't even put your orange makeup on straight. And we're supposed to listen to you. It's just insane what this man is putting this country through. But Tucker Carlson continues to light this dude up. We're not going to do all of it, but if I give you, again, I know you don't want to watch it, but it's like, I don't know, it's an hour. Maybe this one's a 2-hour one. It's one of the ones that I ended up watching for a long time, but I watch it so you don't have to. But if you want to, it's online, and you'll see that there is multiple times he gets into this guy, mostly near the end, but it's multiple times where he gets into this guy.
Not even, you don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
we're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're...
He fucked up right there. He said we are helping them. Now, again, leaders listen to these people. Regardless of whether it's true or not, they listen to them. And they do anything to validate the shit they're going to do. Because he's a leader and he just said we with Israel, he's saying that Israel actually, America was a part of what happened with Israel against Iran. And he said, yep, we are. Well, he starts backing out of it. Said, well, we're helping them, but we're giving them money and weapons or whatever. You stepped in it. Backtrack if you please, but you stepped in it because you literally just said, we are. And you got to watch your words, especially when other leaders who are in fights and bombs, they got their people watching to hear what any of these people have to say to make sure that they stay safe. They wouldn't be doing their due diligence or their job as leaders in their country if they weren't listening to everybody, whether it's public or they had spies behind the scenes. That's how every country stays safe. That's how we get intel.
Supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senader. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay, we are not bombing them.
Oh, okay.
Israel is bombing them. And why do you do the snide, oh, okay?
What do you mean? Because this is super high stakes stuff. This is a huge country that borders a lot of other important countries. A lot of the world's energy comes from there.
So
let me
you
ask
don't
want
Tucker,
another disaster. You don't want to be
Tucker,
reckless.
the Ayatollah refers to Israel as the little Satan and America as the great Satan. Do you believe him when he says it's the great Satan? Do you think if the Ayatollah could murder both of us right now that he would? I do. I believe him.
Okay, I assume no good faith on the part of the Ayatollah.
No, not
and
good
if your
faith.
implication is like I'm pro-Ayatollah or something.
No, it's not good faith. It's that
just saying you're a lawmaker. You're a powerful person in Washington. This is the most powerful country in the world. If you're calling for toppling in government, it's incumbent on you to know something about the country and to think through the consequences of that. And you haven't, and you don't. And I'm saying that's
I haven't thought. Okay,
He's saying you haven't and you don't. It just ripped them apart. Look at Ted. He's trying his best to back. Shut up, man. He got you in a corner, and you're trying to wind your way out of it. At that point, you should have been like, it's over. I'm getting up. You should have pulled a Trump and took your mic off and walked away.
you engage in reckless rhetoric. with no facts. And to be clear,
I'm not calling for the
put out
overthrow of a government. You
put out a newsletter attacking Donald Trump and calling him complicit.
Never
I can
attacked
read
Donald Trump.
Yes, you have. And by
I
the way,
campaigned for Donald Trump.
Okay, yes,
And this is after anti-Semitism. This is
They all know Trump's jocking this right here. This part is just, it's sickening how much they're trying to curry favor with Trump in the middle of an interview they know is going to go viral. They know it at this point, it's going to go viral. So now it's like, I got his nuts in my mouth. No, I do. No, I do. No, I do.
the last refuge. You're an anti-Semite and you hate Trump.
Okay,
I love Trump.
I will read. You put out a whole newsletter saying Trump has abandoned America First. And here's what Trump said in response. Well, considering that I'm the one that developed America First and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, I think I'm the one who decides that. For those people who say they want peace, you can't have peace if Iran has a nuclear weapon. So for all of those wonderful people who don't want to do anything about Iran having a nuclear weapon, that's not peace. That was directed at you.
Man, you got me. Busted.
No, I'm just saying.
Look, my views. Look, I like Trump. I campaigned for Trump. I know Trump. I talked to him last night. I'm not against Trump, and you know that.
But you're against his foreign policy.
I think that we should be very careful about entering into more foreign wars that don't help us when our country is dying.
When you say
and our
don't
country
help
is
us,
dying.
Look, yes, focus on our country. I'm all for it. But the naivete.
You don't even know how much money this costs. You don't know anything about the country whose government you want to overthrow, and you're calling me reckless.
I want to.
Exactly. And what's so funny about it, like I said, even with Tucker Carlson and the rest of it, he's saying exactly what a Democrat would say. You don't know how much it's going to cost. How do you call yourself fiscally conservative? But see, what Tucker Carlson is saying just to Ted Cruz, but that's the entire Republican Party. How much does the shit cost that you're doing? Like them gathering all these people up whom aren't criminals, but it's costing America money to keep these people in these detention centers for months. This other guy who just got out, Kilimani or whatever, he just came out after 107 days. That's money that we spent for holding somebody illegally for no reason. And that's holding them. How much did we spend for them to get out on the streets to snatch him? I mean, and many others. It's insane. And then you got Pete Hegseth coming out trying to ask for what is it, $1 billion or $1 trillion? I think he's asking for $1 trillion or some shit like that. I'm like, why are you asking for more money? It wasn't like Democrats didn't tell you that the shit y'all talking about trying to accomplish, it's going to be in like the fucking $20 trillion, $30 trillion to be able to do this shit. You really think we're going to give you $30 trillion to achieve something that you can't and won't achieve? Because if you solve these politicians, the immigration, what else do you have to run on? Nothing. So are they really trying to solve the problem or just make the hate stronger? Make the hate stronger. They ain't trying to solve this problem. That's why they're not going after these criminals. I'm trying to tell you something. Look it up yourself. The amount of criminals that have come into this country in the past, I try to look for the 4 years, but they ended up giving me like decades upon decades because there is no chart of what happened in the past 4 years of these immigrants, other than the fact that like one source said there was only 20 crimes in the past 4 years by non-citizens, immigrants. They were immigrants. 20 violent crimes. So that's 20, like anything from beating somebody to unaliving somebody. 20 in the last 4 years, and over decades upon decades, it's in like the thousands or something like that, the early thousands, like 15, 20,000. So is it really an issue? It's not. Of course there's crime that's going to happen, but is it so rampant that you're going to be focused on 15,000 people in decades over decades when you have more than 15,000 white people killing people every year? More black people killing American citizens than that every year. More Latin people killing than that every year. And you really going to focus on them when they're the smallest amount compared to them? It makes no sense. It's just hate ratcheted up. How do we get power? Get somebody else to hate and let everybody go after that person and not look at me. This right here, he's saying the same thing. You're doing that gymming up hate, but how do you do that when you don't know which group to get the other group to hate? You don't know anything about it. You have no idea what's going on in this country. They just are literally trying their best to divide people. That's their goal. They're not trying to solve immigration. It's an issue they use to gain power.
Stop a lunatic who wants to murder us from getting nuclear weapons that could kill millions of Americans.
Fair.
You say, I can't see how that benefits America in any way. That is bizarre. And by the way,
bizarre.
Isolationism, your foreign policy is the foreign policy of Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama.
Oh, absolutely.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm a big leftist.
I'm a big leftist. He's talking about Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama. Again, Barack Obama, he got 3 million immigrants out of the country, right? With very little fanfare. Donald Trump and George Bush and his father, George Bush, combined have not came up to 3 million. So how is it that Republicans are winning on immigration when they've gotten less out of the country successfully? Because Republicans are good at marketing. They're showing you how they're getting these people out of the country. We're causing this pain. It's in the news every day. Donald Trump's actually doing something. It reminds you of that process that if the work gets done and you don't see it get done, is it really done? Right? How do you measure whether the work is done or not? You have to see the workers working. So Donald Trump and Republicans, they want you to see they're out there in the streets doing this shit because that makes it look like they're actually working, but they're standing still and doing nothing. But it looks like I have a presence and I'm doing something. But when you get down to the fact of the actual numbers of what's being done, that doesn't matter to them. Because they're never going to get these millions that they're talking about because they aren't there. It was phantom. There's not that many millions of immigrants that are committing crimes in this country, period. So they can't actually show that. But what they can do is showing you in person what it looks like. All promotion, all a production. You see it happening, so therefore it must be happening. Democrats, in this situation, Barack Obama put his head down, talked to his people, and they got the work done. They got the numbers. They didn't go to the people and say, hate, 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 hate. Look what we're doing. Hate, 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 hate. Look, got another one. Hey, oh, look, got a gun on this one. Hey, they didn't do all that shit. They literally got the job done. 3 million more than Trump got out of the country during his phase. And during Bush's phase, both of them. During his father's phase, both of them. During Reagan's phase, both of them. How do you have a person just in President Obama and Clinton added together dwarfs the last 4 to 6 Republicans in immigration? Dwarfs them. And somehow Republicans end up winning? How do you win something that you're actually losing on? Because Democrats don't promote what they're doing. They just do it. They work and get it done. They're the worker bees. The Republicans are the mouthpieces. They go around saying they're going to do this. Oh, we're saving money. Oh, we're conservative. Really? You spent more money than any other president without having to pay for it. No way to pay for the tax cuts. You want to get more tax cuts, and you haven't even paid for the first tax cuts you gave. You want to make them permanent, and you haven't figured out a way to make them permanent to pay for it. So what do? Fire a bunch of people. Bring in Doge to try and rearrange everything so that you can put millions into a certain bank account and then give it away and tell them, oh, you're going to get some money while you give the rest of it to give the most of it, the majority of it to billionaires. That is the game plan. Always has been. There is no other game plan for Republicans. None. All of the facades of, we believe in marriage. Yeah, right. You went to your RNC and all the gay sites just crashed. Oh, where was your wife and husbands at? All these gay sites just crashed when you came. But when Democrats came to their thing, nothing crashed. Grindr didn't crash when the Democrat convention came, but the Republican Party did. A lot of gay action going on for people who hate gay people. How's that deal with the family? How's that bode with the family? Because I don't know that many gay people openly in the Republican Party. But all this shit that they always drum up, it is for power's sake. They don't believe in it. Law and order. They got a problem with these people rioting, not even rioting, but marching for righteousness and doing people right and calling them thugs and calling them criminals. And then letting go January 6ers who literally broke windows, vandalized, caused millions of dollars of interior and exterior, like damage, wiped feces on the walls, tore down monuments and things of that nature, things that were inside the building, scratched up paintings and all kinds of shit like that, let alone hurt the police officers. And they want to say, they were just in there for a stroll. They never believed in it, y'all. Never did. It was all bullshit. It's whatever they can do to get power. They'll get any wedge issue they can find to get power. Those people voted for Trump. The loyalty of them tearing down our democracy right before our eyes was everything they wanted to see. And by letting them go, they validated that that's the type of American that they like and respect. Law-abiding citizens that are for democracy is not what they want. They want sycophants that will bark and bite whenever they tell them to sick. That's the type of American they want. And that's the type MAGA Republicans are. They're trained dogs. They don't think for themselves. They think whatever he wants them to think. And that's why he says, my people, my this, my that. He's trained them like Mike Vick, his cousin, or whomever, trained those dogs to fight.
Let me, this is so silly. Now I'm Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama. Okay. Let me just say one last thing.
So how is your foreign policy different from Jimmy Carter's? Seriously.
Please.
But I asked that question seriously.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Jimmy Carter?
He done reduced himself in his mind that he's talking about Jimmy Carter now. It's insane. But I wanted you guys to see that. I know some of you didn't want to hear that, but the reason why I put that out and the way I wanted to see the whole thing is because the context of it all. And there's more to it. I think Kristen brought up some stuff too. They even got into religion and things of that nature. And this was a heated debate from one section of this video almost to the end. And there's just so much in each one of them. But I wanted to get that one because I wanted people to see that these people, this woke right that they're coming up with, it's just people saying common sense shit, but being a Republican. What that video explained, if anything, to me, was that Tucker Carlson is just saying what logical people see, wrapped in a MAGA Republican mindset, right? Because Tucker Carlson's batshit crazy for the most part. But for him to say sensical things, just simple, adding 1 + 1 instead of coming up with MAGA every time, he just came up with logical shit. And that's woke. That's what the right is calling woke now. The right woke. People who make fucking sense are somehow a negative thing. Tucker Carlson made sense in that entire transition between him, transaction rather, between him and Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz sounded batshit crazy. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you, I just don't understand the country that we live in. We're going to talk about immigration next time. You know, the idea of what our immigration will do for the country, like fixing it, like how we can do that. We're going to talk about that because I think we do need to focus on that. How are we going to solve that? I know individually we don't feel like we have any power, but if we come up with a message of how things we think it would be, it can actually grow. One person can actually start the fire. It's going to take many other people to add their own kindling to it to actually get it to grow, because we're never going to solve this problem if hate is the driving force. And we want immigrants in this country because it is how this country grows. This is how we run this country. They're trying to make it a country of, I don't know what it is. I guess all white people? I don't know. I don't understand, because they call merit. I don't know what they call merit. Their merit is just idiocy. White is just right, and white is smart and bright and all this other shit just because it's white. And we've witnessed almost every person he's put in that he's called merit are dumbasses. I mean, to the whole world, you can see it. You have to really be blind to it. You know what I'm saying? You have to really like turn your head and don't want to see it. But they're train wrecks. Even Donald Trump won't listen to Tulsi Gabbard. He put her in place. He knows that she's not in this position because she deserved it. She's in it because she kisses his ass and does what he tells her. And therefore, whatever he says goes, even if she has intel of the opposite, she's not credible to him or to the world. That's why he wanted her in a position. Pete Hegseth, he wants him in that position because he's not credible to the world, only to MAGA. So whatever Donald Trump says goes. If Pete Hegseth says there's a war about to happen and Donald Trump don't want anybody to know that, he's going to say Pete Hegseth don't know what he's talking about. And people will not trust what the hell Pete Hegseth, even Democrats, man, Pete Hegseth is a dumbass. Man. And we could have a war because Donald Trump's a mega dumbass and Pete Hegseth is a dumbass. And so we're listening to two dumbasses tell us what the world's about. It's a damn shame. When you can literally go and find this information online for most of it, and it'll negate anything they say. And we understand, at least I do, that they have more access to information than we do. But the traditional CIA, FBI, I think, and the military, I think those people have spent their entire lives saving this country. They don't want to see it toppled by any external force. MAGA people do, but the rest of them do not. So if it's not MAGA in these offices doing the hard work, and it's really the same officers who've been doing it, I trust what they say, even if it has to come out of Tulsi Gabbard's mouth, because I know she ain't doing the homework. Just my viewpoint. I don't trust Donald Trump as far as a little person could throw him. Period. All right. I'm about to get up out of here. Thank you guys for any donations that you're giving me. See what we got here today. Get everybody. That was Monica. Thank you again for the $5. Everybody else who came, I appreciate you being here. I got a show on TikTok I got to do here. My show on Friday, Chocolate Music Lab, is all music, old school music. 2 requests. I play my list, I play your list, and I close it out. So you can check me out over there, Mr. Straight Facts 23. You can subscribe here, or you can also become a member. And you can also donate with the information that's on the screen now. I want to thank everybody who comes and spend time with me. I appreciate you. That would be Mark D. Thank you, brother. Have a good night. Nina, good night. Take care. Rudy and Planet Janet, have a good night. Vera, you take care as well. Let's see. DJ, I'll probably see you over there. Maybe not. Depends on what your night's like. Kristen, thank you again for being here. Appreciate you. What's up, Kenneth? Azure, I see you. Who else? DJ W, thank you for being a member. Kristen, I see that. Monica as well. Always a pleasure. Thank you for being a member. Let's see who else we got in here that I haven't spoke to just yet. Woke Mike, I see you. Troy Scott, I see you. Thank you for being here. Demetrius, appreciate you. And I think that's just about it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great weekend. That's the thing that's gonna be fun about. I mean, we had well, no, we don't have a 4-day weekend. I just had one a few weeks ago. But being Friday, hopefully you guys get out, enjoy yourself, enjoy the weather. At least in LA, it's nice. I don't know what it is like where you're at, but be safe, right? Always seek the facts, no matter what. Just don't believe anything you hear, and focus. And when we talk about immigration and things of that nature, look for the love and exclude the hate. That love part is going to get you to better understand what the hell is going on, right? You can dislike something without hating something, and you can fix something without having to destroy somebody else's life in the process. Things